the parties who decide on both sides.
Hi. My question is like this. Are you still in support of Hezbollah? Because the State Department in the United States decided it's in the list of terror organizations.
Yeah.
My second question, if I may, PLO was established in 1964. Israel did not have any of Judea and Samaria territories, nor Gaza. Meaning, was their goal to destroy the state of Israel?
Yes.
And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. First about Hezbollah, I did not ever declare that I support Hezbollah, but I thought that Hezbollah is a resistance movement against Israeli occupation, which is illegitimate. It's a legitimate resistance movement against illegitimate Israeli occupation, and I think this was right, and I think that they won that battle and Israel withdrew. Now Hezbollah doesn't have the right to continue, and I think it's okay. I think that, not only me, I mean the first one who met Nasrallah was Kofi Annan, and he didn't ask what the United States says. The first meeting after Israeli withdrawal was Kofi Annan visiting Hassan Nasrallah in South Lebanon. I think the Hezbollah movement not only is a guerrilla movement, it's a classical guerrilla movement. It's a classical one that targeted soldiers under occupation. And they did it. Why? Because this occupation was illegitimate. Most of the Israeli society was against that occupation. And that's why the Israeli leadership took the consequences and withdrew from there. You see, occupations are something unaccepted in the world. The Israeli occupation of Lebanon was totally legitimate, and the Lebanese people resisted that occupation. Now, whether they do it with bird or they do it without bird, this is their issue. Now, the Lebanese society would cope up what kind of society they want to build and what kind of society should Lebanon look like. It's not my question, it's their question. But the fact that the Lebanese people had the right to resist Israeli occupation, I think there's no question about that. It's an international convention. It's paragraph 4 of the Geneva Convention. The right of people to, you know what? It's even more than that. And we don't accept, actually we are saying less than what the international law says. International law says struggling against occupation with all means. I never say with all means. I don't accept all means. I think certain means are unacceptable. Now, the Israeli occupation is out. You can't occupy a country and say you don't have the right to resist my occupation. You can't do that. You know, you use everything, you destroy buildings and you bombard cities, etc., but the people there does not have the right to resist occupation. Now, this is terrorism of state. If you bombard civilians and cities in Lebanon, etc. And the Lebanese resisted that occupation. Actually, the whole world was for it, but for the Israeli occupation. And the Israeli occupation is out. Now, of course, they don't have the right. I don't think that Hezbollah has the right to make actions against Israeli cities or against Israeli civilians. But usually it was Israel acting against Lebanese cities, not Hezbollah acting against Israeli cities. Israel occupied Lebanon until Beirut and had a siege around Beirut, and the whole world was against it. And Sharon was called by the Time magazine as a criminal of war, not me. And he had a quote against the Time magazine here. And he was a persona non grata in this country until Shimon Peres became his foreign minister and made legitimacy for him in Europe and everywhere. Mr. Sharon, because of Lebanon, was persona non grata in Europe. It's not I who decided this. Now to say that I'm for Hezbollah, no, I'm not for Hezbollah. Hezbollah has totally different, I'm a secular democrat, totally different ideology than Hezbollah. But Hezbollah, in the context of the Israeli occupation of Lebanon, was a resistant movement, whether you want it or not. And they did it the way they know how to do it. Now concerning 1964, I said that before. The Palestinians, when they established the PLO in Jerusalem, they were heading, not accepting Israel. It was a movement of refugees, you know. The PLO, when it was established, was a movement of refugees. These refugees were kicked out from their country in 1948. Now their homeland is Israel of 1948. And it was the Palestinian Liberation of the Organization of Palestine 1948, of course. There's no secret about that. They have conventions, they have documents. We are speaking after the occupation of 1967, when the PLO expresses readiness to have a historical compromise in Israel in a two-state solution in the borders of the 4th of June, giving up, according to their narrative in 1964, 78% of Palestine. Giving it up, saying this is Israel. I want 22% of Palestine. I think people in Israel do not understand that this is a historical achievement for Israel, that the Palestinians, and only the Palestinians, can give legitimacy for Israel. Only the Palestinians. Why? Because they are the refugees of 1948.
Today at the City Club of Cleveland Forum, we've been listening to Dr. Azmi Bishara, Palestinian member of Israeli Knesset. Thank you, Dr. Bishara, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and this forum is adjourned.